Okay, hi everyone. I think we're live now. And welcome to yet another live on Monday nights with Viniti and me. I hope you've had a great day at work today, and you're just winding down for the day, and so you're listening in to us just while you're winding down and taking it easy. We've got a very nice topic today, which is, are you ready for a change? And so to kick it off, I'll just say, hi Viniti. Do you want to kick off the topic for us?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our lives, Monday lives. I hope you guys have had a good weekend. It was pretty chilly, so I was indoors the entire time. I just didn't want to step out, but I hope you guys got some, outdoor spirits there. It's a very interesting topic, and I have been asked this question many times in my, life coaching career, considering that I have not only changed jobs like over 10 or 15 times, but also changed my career from, being a professional in corporate to moving into life coaching, which was absolutely parallel. Like there was nothing which came in from what I did in my professional work to this environment. And over the last couple of years, I have started thinking through this as to when do you actually identify, this is it, this I've had enough, this is not working for me, and move towards something where you are more passionate about and, you want to give your 100%. While I talk about the changes, there are certain elements that I refer to, and this is spoken many times by somebody I admire a lot, Tony Robbins, and people who know could, relate to him. And he speaks about 6 core needs of human behavior, and that's a true place to really start to understand why we do what we do. And it was really eye-opening for me when I was understanding that. And these 6 core needs that I suppose drive anybody's behavior out there is why you actually start to look for change. People who are very smart can already Google it and see what those needs are. But I'll quickly talk about these 6 needs, and they are certainty, variety, love and connection. Then, look, I'm going to slipping out of my mind. Then. Let me think, what are the 6 core needs? So significance, then there is growth, and there is contribution. So these are the 6 core needs that drives anybody. And the thing with the human behavior is that not all needs are applicable to everybody. Some of them are more pronounced in one than they are on the others. So it's very unique to everybody to identify when they are really ready for change. But what you're pretty much looking for is if one or more of these needs are being fulfilled in your current career or job. So are you in a role where you are seeking certainty? You want to just go get up, have 9 to 5, go get the money coming into your bank account. If that's your driver, then you're in the, you're probably good at, in a job where it is monotonicity, you're going day in and day out. I was very big on variety. I think, people who move jobs from one to another and careers, and you would relate to that yourself, Sangeeta, around, you're wanting that variety in the work environment. And it was my driver. And the moment I started to feel I'm getting stagnated in my career, and, there was, I knew what was coming every day, I wanted to change. And that's why I kept moving from one job to the other. Love and connection, if you don't feel the connection at your workplace, at your job, you are feeling very isolated, and it's very common in the current environment because of the COVID. You're in your, sitting in your little home and hub and not finding that connection. Again, you start to feel, you need to move on, and it's important that we are constantly looking for that connection, either in your peers or in your friends. And most importantly, at a place where you spend 8 to 9 hours a day, that's your workplace. So it's, these core needs are pretty much the drivers, and things like significance is your workplace making you feel significant. Are you turning up and people in your organization recognize you? And if that stops happening, you suddenly are disconnected. You are not as motivated as you would be. That there is growth. Are you seeing an opportunity to grow in an organization? Do you have a career path? If not, there's another sign that you are not going where you want to head in your career. So you start to look for change. And one of the most important things that comes through with people who've got 10-15 years of experience or are in leadership role is contribution, which is you've gone through all those 5 core needs in your career, but there comes a point where you kind of feel that you have learned what you had to learn, but it's a point where you want to contribute. And I think for me, that was a point when I decided I wanted to move parallel. I wanted to give. I wanted to contribute to the wider world. And I thought, okay, I can't contribute being in the corporate world as much as I would have wanted to. I would rather do something where I can, fully and completely contribute. So contribution comes with, and it's very, very highly recognized when I do a lot of leadership coaching. It's missing off that. Am I contributing? So these core needs, which as I mentioned, Tony Robbins has put out there. The first thing is that they are for everybody, but one or the other is more important, depending on what phase of life you are at any point in time. And for anybody who's watching and considering changing the job, I think the question they need to really ask themselves, which one of these needs at the moment is not being fulfilled at their workplace. Or in their current career, if they are considering to let's start a business, right? So what is that need that is not currently being fulfilled? And if it is really their top 1 or 2 need, which is, it shows in every other area of your life, it will show in your relationships, it will show in your work, it will show in your even enjoyment. People who like variety, they want to kind of take risks, do different type of enjoyment. So if it's not getting fulfilled, and if it is your top need, I think you're ready for the change. I kind of, that's the point I kind of talk to when I'm talking to my client, to say, identify which one is your driver, and everybody has a different driver. This is something that everybody needs to understand, is what works for me may not be, let's say, yours. So, and vice versa for other people. So, Sagita, tell me about you. What made you kind of move from corporate into, starting a business?
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, if I was to think about it in terms of those 6 sort of pieces that you've just mentioned from Tony Robbins, I would say a lot of it is to do with growth, but also, significance would be another thing. I couldn't really, I was doing really well, but I still didn't feel like I was being significant enough in the world, if you know what I mean. And so, so there were a lot of those drivers we're running in, but variety, of course, is another piece. I did have a lot of variety at my work, so it wasn't like I was challenged for that. But I think stepping out and getting into the entrepreneurship zone changed my definition of variety, if you like, because, when you're starting your business, it's you have to do everything by yourself initially, right? You could start hiring team members straight away, but if you start doing that, you don't know if what you're doing is right or wrong, or if what they're doing is right or wrong. So it's always like, it's a very hands-on process being an entrepreneur. And I think that was something that really attracted me. What really attracted me to continue being an entrepreneur, I suppose, is the pace at which things work. I like things getting done quickly and fast, and in a lot of the corporate jobs, I think if people here are in corporates, you'll agree, there's a lot of red tape, there are a lot of barriers, there's a lot of hoops to jump through before things get signed off, or you get started on a project or get started on doing something. I think that is one thing that is my pet peeve, is I can't stand inefficiency. Inefficiency really, really bugs me. And so I think that was the other thing that was, when I switched over here, it was in my hands to make things happen. It was in my, things would run as fast as I could run. So I think that's the piece that excited me a lot about wanting to change over and do what I'm doing. But I think there's drivers. I think there's, the way I look at it though, if I think about drivers, there are two drivers, right? There's intrinsic and there's external drivers. So your intrinsic drivers, your internal drivers are really that point around, are you happy in what you're doing? Or are you just not happy? And then the external drivers come to a point where it's like, sometimes there's just an opportunity in the market. And that you just feel like you want to grab that, right? So that could be a driver too for you to want to change. It's not necessarily that you're unhappy doing what you're doing, or it's not necessary that any of your needs are not being met, but suddenly just something opens up outside that you can see an opportunity, or whether that's a next job that you're taking in a different company, or whether that is a business. It's just that a door opens up. And you can see it, and you can see that, yep, this is great. I really want to do this. This makes a lot of sense for me. And I feel like sometimes even that can be a stronger driver than the internal ones as well. So the internal ones are very important. You need to be tuned to those. But then I think the external drivers sometimes can also push you in that different direction and prompt you to change.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You're always out there, especially this is what I talk about during networking, to keep your, all your senses on, to make sure that you are looking out for those external drivers. Sometimes internal drivers get confusing. You're not sure if you're happy or not. And a lot of people who come to me is that's where they are. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. And that's why I got to keep, looking out for those opportunities. So, Sakita, tell me, what are the things that are, according to you, that somebody who's looking out to start a business, right? Mm-hmm. What do they need to be wary of when they are going for it's a big change, when we talk about it, it sounds like, it's so easy. We cruise through and we started our business. It isn't, there are bad days, and there are very bad days. So, what is the thing that you think are the key takeaways when people are looking to change career?
So very good question. I do talk about it in my book, but that's coming up. And because I'm writing my book, this is so fresh in front of mine, but it's just, look, I think there are two things that are very, very important before you get into the execution of your business, right? So first thing is your mindset. An employee mindset versus an entrepreneur mindset, there's a big difference. And if you're not aware of what those differences are, how to navigate those differences, you can end up being an employee in an entrepreneur's shoes, and you don't want to do that. So I think the first thing is really understanding that there is a certain level of risk with business, and you have to be willing to take those risks. So if you're a risk averse person naturally, it will take you a lot of mindset work to be able to switch over into an entrepreneur's mindset. The other thing that is also really important is to think about where is it that you want to start your business, because a lot of times we want to start businesses that we're passionate about, right? And again, passion is an overused word, but I think with passion, sometimes you might say, oh, my passion is sports, or my passion is I don't know, for me personally, it's travel and food. And so when you go down that path of starting a business that you're really in an area that you're really passionate about, you may or may not have any experience in it, but you want to do it out of passion, and you'll quickly realize that it'll become a chore. It loses its magic if you're going to make a business out of what you really love doing. So what you really need to understand is, again, the drivers. What is it that you love about sports? Is it the adrenaline rush that it gives you? Is it the team dynamics? What is it that really drives you? And using those to then use your mindset in that space to be able to change to establish your business. So I think mindset starts becoming super important. And also the other thing is becoming fail ready. A lot of people do not start businesses because they're so scared of failure. But you know what? You can't be successful if you don't fail. You just can't. You have to fail. Without failing, you don't know what is success. So if everything just goes according to, I think about this and I make it happen. I think about it and I make it happen. How boring would life be? right? So sometimes you just have to be open to failing and letting that failure then become a learning to teach you about the success that you're going to have. And you are going to have the success, just being, believing that the success is coming. It's not like, I failed like 100 times and I can't see it, the success is not coming, I'm going to go away. So it's beyond that resilience piece. So I think mindset is super, super important. And the other thing is then strategy, is really knowing where to put your foot forward in business and how to put your foot forward. Like, sometimes people just have this idea and want to start a business. I think that you have to be wary of that. Strategy plays a big, big role in, how you do what you do makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've experienced some of that stuff. So when you were changing over, Viniti, what was like the one biggest key piece for you?
Look, I think I delve into this because of my own personal circumstances. Apart from the core needs, somebody in my work on "Are you okay?" They actually asked me, "Are you okay?" And I wasn't okay, and I did not know what to do about it. It's just something that culturally, when we are not feeling okay, you just shut up and you suck it up and don't be a princess, things like that keep coming into your mind. And I have, for a very long time, been a very independent person, very confident, learn and know how to deal with my problems. So having a mental health wasn't something that I thought would come to me. And it doesn't look like a sad crying person. It just hits you, and you're not at the right spot. For me, I think that point of being at the bottom of the pit was more of a driver than truly to say that I was looking for growth or I was looking for the 6 core needs. I just felt that I needed help and I wasn't sure where to go. And I think the other medical lines weren't for me because I wasn't looking to find out what was wrong with me. I knew what was wrong with me. What I was looking for is somebody to pull me out of it. So somebody be more of a future focus, somebody guiding me towards creating goals, giving me a vision and hand holding me towards, that journey, rather than going to somebody who can tell me why am I feeling whatever I'm feeling. And, and it's okay to feel sad and it's okay to feel bad. When you are so well read and you have unlimited resources online at your disposal, all that, you just keep reading and you understand and you're like this and you're looking at the signs and like, oh, okay, so I know these are all the signs of mental health, and I want to do something about it. I think for me, it's always been not wanting to be feeling stuck. Whatever it is, even if it's a job, if it's my personal life, or it's my activities on a daily basis, whenever I feel stuck, I want to do something about it and move forward. And that's when I started following Tony Robbins, and that's why it says like guru for me. And then there in our I think background, there is this guy called Sadhguru, and I started listening to him a lot. And from somewhere there, I realized there was this life coaching journey, and the more I read, the more curious I became, and I decided to go into the journey of learning what it was, and go through the transformation myself before I can kind of go out and talk about how transformational it is. And it was a journey of 18 months from bottom of the pit to coming on the top. But through that journey, because I started doing coaching pretty much soon after I got my first I completed my first course, and we started experimenting or experiencing it together with other coaches and other clients and stuff. And I knew at that point that the satisfaction that I got by self-transformation, and in addition to when you would see people come back and say that they are actually feeling the difference, the words like, Viniti, you gave me confidence to do XYZ, or, I felt much better after talking to you and having a clear path of where I wanted to move. I think that was a point where I said, okay, I want to do this, it's just, I want to give back, and then, you could talk about maybe my contribution need was being met. But it was a lot of thinking, and some of the things that I have come back to realize is that apart from being passionate, you need to have an experience in what you want to delve into, right?
Yeah.
You can't just throw away. A very good saying is, don't throw the baby with the bath water. It's a very good one which stays with me, is to say, don't just throw away everything that you have learned in your life just because you're passionate about cooking. I love cooking, and I always say I want to run a food truck, but I have much more experience in corporate, and I know that I have navigated my career into different paths. So why not take that forward rather than dropping everything and starting something in the total parallel line? So it's some of the things that my three super favorite questions that I ask anybody who comes to me to kind of ask me, should I change my job, or should I be changing my career? So I definitely ask them, ask yourself, do you really want a new career, or is it a change in a situation? You're just frustrated with your current situation. Just don't go and change your career because of that. Maybe you just need a change of situation. Then I ask them, have you considered what are you going to miss in your current job if you went for the new one, or a new career? So, what is that you're doing at the moment? And make a list of those things. And whoever is listening, I think this is a great exercise, and I did it for myself. So whoever is considering to change a job or is looking to change a career, you have to make a list of things that you currently have. We often, when we're looking at the other side of the grass is greener on the other side kind of a concept, when you're looking on the other side, you forget that you still have a grass. There is still something at your side that is good. So make a list of those things and think about it. Is it really worth getting rid of those things before you move into your new job or career? So it's just a complete review of your current situation before you jump into something that is uncharted territory, or you have no experience on, or something like I do, because a lot of people have come back and said, oh, we want to become life coach, and I'm like, don't throw away what you have. You must be happy about something in your current job, and that could be just a regular salary. It's not going to come by, at least for 1 year. You're not going to have the same regular monthly income. Some months would be good and some months would be really bad. So are you prepared to let go of that? So thinking about those things is so important, and people don't. And I think the other thing, the last question I generally ask them is that, have you ever visioned? And this is when we talk about visions and stuff. Have you visioned what your new job or career would look like? Don't just because you see Sangeeta, running an amazing business and think, I can do it as well. Or, Vinithi's got a life coaching and she's getting, clients, so I can do it as well. Have a talk with people who have done this. Go and talk to at least 3 people who have been on the other side and find out their wins and losses, and evaluate that you are willing to take that risk. Exactly to your point, there are going to be risks, but how do you know what risks are going to be there? So talking to people who have done it, really going out and at least finding out 3 people who you can ask this question to. What was their first 6 months like? What was their first 12 months like before you actually decide to change your entire career, or even your job, for that matter? People who are looking at the moment in the market, because the market is really good, and I'm getting a lot of people asking me this, what, this role is giving me so much money, and maybe I should jump. It's a 40% hike. It's all good, but you are in a comfort zone at the moment, and with that, are you considering you're going to change the location, your timings of the job, your pay would be changing? There's so many elements that you need to think about and weigh them and understand if you're really truly ready to take that jump. So those are the 3 critical questions that I ask everybody, irrespective of where my sessions would head, is to kind of answer these 3 questions before you want to navigate and change a career. And we look at how to create that journey of getting where you want to go.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, even with organizational change, right? Usually there are change teams that manage change in an organization. and they work on frameworks, they work on a certain sort of set of assumptions and things that they make. So it's really good that, you've got these guiding questions. They're like a framework you can use for yourself, to navigate change and how you go about it. So that's good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is something I would do in my sessions, which is, like pretty much paid sessions, and ask people that have this done. We are not going to the second session unless you have the answers to this question, because you need clarity around where you're headed. Just being conscious of time, Sangeeta, just very curious as to, did you have such a vision? Did you weigh your risks, and did you know, when you stepped outside, were there any shockers for you that you did not anticipate?
No, I think I was pretty aware. So because I come from a business family, and both my parents, I've grown up watching them run their own businesses, their respective businesses. So for me, I feel like I knew what the risks were with business, and I've sort of seen them do. They've both done different businesses, right? So I think I was very conscious of the decisions I was making. Obviously, it does have a financial toll on you initially. I was earning in the very high six figures, and now you're like, you're sort of starting from nothing pretty much. But one of the things that I say often too, and similar to you, is everybody thinks business starts from zero, but business starts from one. Business starts from where you are today. If you leveraging what you know is important, leveraging what you've learned, and all of that is super important. But it's also the people that right? And sometimes it's really the people that push you forward, that take you forward in business. It's like they say, who you know matters more than what you know. So even if you don't know much about the industry, even if you don't know much about the new sort of business that you're going to start, but if you know the right people who can take you there, whether that's your coaches, mentors, whether that's other people who've gone before you, whether it's your people in your previous work network who know other people, or if they can help you in some way, I think just using your networks effectively is one of the biggest things you can do when you get started. So I think for me, I wouldn't say it was a shocker, but the surprising part for me was when I moved out of corporate and moved into doing my own business, and especially in the startup space, right? So it's not like a small business, like, I'm starting a grocery store kind of a thing, but it was more like, I'm very heavily invested in the startup space, and I work with startups day in and day out. The mentality with startups is a bit different. It's more like a community, and they tend to want to, help each other. Like, every door I've knocked, or every person I have requested to have a chat with and go forward, has been kind enough to give me their time, and and also advice, like, and really solid, really good advice. And you start building these relationships within this industry. I knew nothing about startups pre 2019, and since then it's just knocking on people's doors and asking them to work with them, giving them an insight into who you are, and then getting to work with them sort of opens up a lot of doors for you. And I think that's where the difference is. Leveraging your networks is one of the biggest things. And what surprised me really is how open and giving people are about from their own businesses. It doesn't matter where they are in their business journey, but they're willing to take the time out and talk to you and build the networks. And I think that I find that very refreshing. Especially coming from a banking environment where, sometimes things can get very, very tough. It's, this is quite refreshing for me. So I feel like, you will find your groove, even if you switch over, wherever you switch over to, but don't forget to carry your networks with you.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the most important lessons for even people who are leaving organizations and moving forward to other organizations, is to don't lose your connection, don't lose your networking. I have learned it hard way, and I think one of the major things with professional of color is they rely a lot on their outputs, not on their relations. Unfortunately, once you rise up the ladder, it's more your networks, not your outputs. It flips very quickly, and I think that's where some of us lag behind. But whoever is listening, I think I'm really curious to know, even if you guys, log in later and listen to us, is to what are your thoughts? What has been your driver to change, and what is something that you have learned if you have changed jobs, a good experience or a bad experience that you would like to share with us. I would invite you guys to talk to us and tell us what's worked for you and what hasn't, I think. Right, Sangeeta?
Yeah, it'll be great to hear. So leave us comments below and we'd love to hear from you. And I think we're up for time now, Viniti. So maybe that's it for tonight. And thanks for listening in, everybody. And we're going to be back on again next week, Monday night, 9 o'clock. And hopefully see you then.
Yeah. See you guys. Have a good night.
Okay. See you. Bye.